Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah. Let me put my phone on silence because it's gonna buzz this whole time. There we go. I like to talk about books here in my basement, and we're gonna do a 2-week wrap up. I did not film last week because my birthday was on Thursday. I turned 38 and we went to the zoo on my birthday. It was very fun. My mom and my sister paid for me to get to meet a sloth in person, which was wild. We get to pet her a little and feed her. She didn't want to be around people, and you know what? I get it. The zookeeper said sometimes they don't like to do encounters, like meeting people days back to back to back. And you know what? I understand that feeling because, like, same. So it was very quick, but it was very fun, and I really enjoyed it. Surprisingly soft. I always thought a sloth would be more, their fur would be more coarse, but because she was young, they said her fur is still a little soft. We just barely got to pet her. And there was an older sloth in the enclosure sleeping, and they said when she gets to be that sloth stage, she'll have much more coarse fur, which I thought that was fascinating. There's your sloth fact for the day. Their fur is actually kind of soft when they're young. So let's talk about everything that I have finished, which some of it is on the shelves, but I'm not going to go fish it off because I just don't feel like it. Last week, I did not talk about Reap and Sow by Charlotte B. Plum. I read this before last week's wrap up and I just forgot about it. I didn't hate this. I didn't love this. It was exceptionally mediocre to me. It had all the exact same tropes you would expect of an ancient being. In this case, he is a demon lord, and he falls in love with this naive random girl who needs his help because her family makes deals with another demon, but then her family gets caught making these deals, and the ruling magistrate in the area takes her brothers to put them on trial. And she's like, okay, I have to save them, so let me make this deal with this other demon who on the back end is also embroiled with this process. It was interesting. The atmosphere and the setting were lovely. I actually really liked that part, but the characters were very blah, and the romance was just, it's not for me. So it was fine. It was fine. I think I gave it a 3. It comes out in maybe September or October. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say that maybe I would recommend running and getting it, but if you don't mind that trope, the immortal ageless man and the young naive girl, you'll probably like it. She did a good job, like I said, on setting and the atmosphere. Magic, not so much, but setting and atmosphere were good. All right, there's going to be a cut before this. Here I was getting ready to talk about a bunch of books I'd already talked about. It's been that long. Instead, we're going to talk about The Madness Pill by Justin Garsons. Let me make sure. Yes, we're going to talk about The Madness Pill. Oh my gosh. This is a nonfiction book that focuses on a guy. His name is Solomon Snyder. I had to double check. They call him Saul the whole way through this. And his journey to find a pill to help people with schizophrenia manage it / control it. So to do that, they first had to figure out, is it a learned behavior? Is it a natural thing? And since it is a natural thing, where does it occur in the brain? What causes it? And can we recreate it in order to help treat it? And along the way, our main character, our focus character here, Solomon, he is experimenting with things like LSD and other drugs that trigger certain parts of the brain because it makes very similar effects to schizophrenia. So he wants to use those to find a treatment or a pill to help manage the condition. Our author of the book, Justin Garsons, his father had schizophrenia, which is why he's very interested in this topic. And I think, if I'm right, Solomon Snyder, one of his family members, was also affected with schizophrenia, which is why he's also interested in it. And it's him talking to Solomon and other researchers at the time of that time, getting information about the journey, because initially when this research started with these substances, like I said, LSD and other drugs, they weren't banned, they weren't illegal, and it wasn't until much later that they did become illegal, and how that threw a loop in the system, like it caused a problem for these researches, and how he had to work around it. And eventually he did find where schizophrenia is located primarily in the brain, which allowed for other people to eventually find a way to help treat it. Not only did he find that to help with schizophrenia treatment, but he also, by finding the things he did, he allowed for help with treating other mental illnesses as well, including people who with like depression and anxiety who take SSRIs, myself among them. His discoveries helped aid in that, and I think that's super cool. So it was very fascinating. It was very pacey. It kept it moving, and I was actually really excited to pick it up each day, which is impressive for a nonfiction, I think. It's also got a really cool trippy cover. So I like that. I like how colorful it is. But this is fascinating. If you are interested in the topic of schizophrenia, if you're not sure what it actually is, I know I actually had to explain to some family members what it is because they thought it was one thing and it wasn't. This is worth reading, and I know that there's different types, and they do talk about that, different types, and it manifests in different ways. I would be interested in reading more. I just need to find some good stuff to read. So this was, I think, a good starting spot, and I enjoyed it. I then read a library book, Python's Kiss by Louise Erdrich. I have wanted to try Louise Erdrich for a while. My mom likes her, and I know of a few other people who do enjoy her a lot. And she writes primarily stories centered around, I think, primarily the Ojibwe population, because she herself is part Ojibwe, if I'm correct. And it's following them, their lives, and stories in those societies. And this is a collection of short stories that also does that. A lot of these were fantastic. I would reread this book, so I got this from the library, and it's now on my wish list because I would really like to have my own copy. Not only did I love the stories, but I think her daughter, or her daughter-in-law, someone related to her, did some illustrations for each story, which really helped add to it. It was beautiful. I think my favorite, did I write down my favorite story? No, I did not. One of the later stories in the collection was my favorite, about the manager, I think it was of a KFC, who vanishes and then mysteriously his sister shows up. That one was my favorite. I don't want to spoil it, but I do really recommend that one. It was a banger for me. I really liked it. Another library book, we'll go ahead and talk about it, is Himawari House by Harmony Becker. This one also, I had some good reads in the past 2 weeks, y'all. This one is about a young girl. I cannot remember her name, but she is half Japanese, and her family moves to America when she's like 3 or 4. And in this book, she is moving, it's a graphic novel. She's moving back to Japan because she feels kind of out of place in America, being mixed race and not actually technically being from America. So she moves back to Japan for a year to try and, find her roots and stuff, and to visit some extended family. And it is her staying at this place called Himawari House. And at that house, she also meets a girl from China. I don't remember if she was from China or somewhere close to China, and then a girl from Korea. Oh no, maybe there was somebody from maybe the Philippines and Korea. I cannot remember. It's been, like I said, a week. And I loved the story of this, and I loved especially, and the author makes a note of this, she writes all of her characters with their associated accents. And she writes in her acknowledgments and her notes that oftentimes characters with Asian accents are represented in media as being goofy because of their accents, and she wanted to just write them as normal people, and she did a fantastic job. I loved the artwork, I loved the stories that she gave these characters, and the whole year that they're together in this house, she captures it really beautifully. This is another one I put on my wish list because I would love to have it to reread and revisit because I liked it. And I just really recommend it if you like this sort of graphic novel story. I will say the ending made me so upset. I know it's good when I was like, no. It's not a bad ending, but it made me so upset. I want there to be like an add-on, and then a year later this or something, because I didn't like what happened. I wanted something else to happen, but that's okay. That's life. It is what it is, right? Let's see. I think I have quite a few things. So let's keep talking about things I don't have physically. House of Gardenias by Isabel Cañas. This is an ARC. This comes out in the fall. I have read all of Isabel Cañas' work. This is her new YA horror. And this is about Minerva, who takes a job as this maid to a wealthy older woman. She is trying to flee her abusive father's household because when her two brothers run off, she's kind of the one left. Her mother has passed on and her father is a monster. So she takes a job with this elderly woman. Her name is something like Enchantra or something. It was very pretty. I just remember that. And her name is Minerva. And she is working with this woman at a time of unrest. This town that they're in is about to go under the government of this area. I think this is like an alternate history fantasy version of Mexico or Spain. It's getting ready to go through a revolution. And it does happen. There is a coup. So her and this old woman move into the mountains at a manor house of extended family for this woman. Now, this family and this woman, they're not exactly the best of friends. She's like a distant aunt to them. And so, naturally, the servants in the household don't really treat nor like Minerva very much. And it is the story of what happens and how the past is going to come back to haunt this family, this house. And our main character gets caught up in that and caught in the crosshairs. And bad things do happen. But also, there is this, like, sweet revenge sort of feel to this story. And it was just really, really good. There is a hint of fantasy that really helps to fuel the story along, and we do get 2 points of view, and all I'm going to tell you is that we have Minerva, but we also have something in the house. That's all I'm going to say on it because it was such a pleasant surprise. Don't read the description if you're at all interested or you like Isabel Cañas, because it's going to be good. This is one of my favorite ones from her. So the last one I read was her most recent work. I can't remember the name of it. I liked it okay. I didn't love it like I liked the previous two, but this is a 5-star read for me. This one, I think, is her second or third 5-star read for me. She's an auto-read author at this point. I don't know if she's auto-buy, but she is someone that I will pick up either from the library or an e-arc, and I will read her for sure. So this one, fantastic horror novel. It's very short. It's only 288 pages, so if you're interested and you like her work, I highly recommend. Let's hit out one of my mess. I followed that up with a quick romance called Love is an Open Book by Chandra Bloomberg. To make this short, this is an author who doesn't believe in love except for a very specific type of love, and she decides to test out a bunch of romance tropes because she is stuck in a rut, she's in a slump, and her best friend volunteers to do them with her, and of course they fall in love. So this main character drove me nuts. I have read a lot of books where the main characters are romance authors and somehow they are very specific about love and how it should happen, or they don't believe in it, but they write it. And like, far be it from me to say that seems kind of silly, because this is romance authors writing these romance books, but it does seem a little silly, and I don't think I like the trope. I don't think I like it at all. Add on to that this particular author in this book, the main character, believes that you cannot be friends with someone before you have a romantic relationship with them. You have to just jump straight into a romantic relationship. And for me, that is absolutely not I refuse. I refuse. I think that's unhealthy. I think that's actually kind of toxic. If you cannot be friends with your partner, you cannot be in an equal partnership, right? That's my opinion on the matter. My husband is my best friend in the world. If you cannot be friends with your partner, why are you together? So the whole time I'm reading this, I'm just going, honey, oh, no. And the reason she thinks that is because she was very good friends with a man, and she confessed that she had feelings for him, and of course he turned her down, and instead ended up marrying her best friend. Minor spoilers ahead. I will go ahead and tell you, she admits later in the book that this was not even that big of a heartbreak. It didn't actually break her heart, it just upset her. But yet she formulates her whole adult life around this upsetness. And no thank you. I gave this one a 3. I didn't hate it, but I was very mad at the character the whole time. I gave it a 3. The male main character, was his name Gavin? Yes, because all I could think about was Gavin's channel on booktube. He was sweet. He was a cinnamon roll, and I love cinnamon roll main characters. So we got a 3, mainly for him. And then I have two more. The last digital e-arc that I read was novel. that I read was The Fox and the Devil by Kirsten White. This one was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. It felt very long, and this is about Van Helsing's daughter, Annika? I don't really actually know how to say her name, and it's primarily told in her point of view, so I didn't ever actually hear it that I recall. And I listened to it half on audiobook and half through the e-arc. She is obsessively trying to find the killer of her father. She walked into his study when she was young and found him dying, and this woman in white standing in the open patio doors window or something. And basically she's like, that woman killed my father. No one believes her, but she is obsessed with finding him, and she works as a private investigator. I forget the word for it. It's like Sherlock Holmes, right? She is called into crime scenes, and she's like an advisor. And she has trained under this mortician, and that's the reason why the police allow her to do it, even though this is like the late 1800s. She's very smart, very analytical, very obsessed. And over the course of the novel, she creates this team to hunt down, Diavola is the woman's name. She had to hunt down this Diavola. And while the story starts rooted with the Dracula myth, it actually deviates into some very interesting folklore that I didn't know anything about, and I thought that was fascinating. I really liked that. I also adored the setting, the way we built, all the places we went, because this takes place over a span of time leading up to the Paris exhibition in 1900. This author did a fantastic job building up to that, and like the way she described things, it was so rich and wonderful. I liked that part too. The only thing that knocked a star off for this is just it felt very long. And I think I've complained about that with Kirsten White's books before, is they just plod along. And I think that's just her writing, and me is just, for some reason, it moves slowly for me. So that could just be a me thing. This I really, really liked. I would love to have another book in this series, like make this a series, because I want to know about Inga, which was one of the women the other woman that helps our main character with her investigations. Something is revealed about her at the end of this one, and I want to know more. But I don't know if we'll get one, so that's okay. I do like the idea of like an open mystery of the characters at the end of a book, so I did enjoy this. If it sounds interesting, it is something I would say pick up. So there's that. And the last thing that I don't have in physical form is I did read Lynx Volume 1 by Samuel Satin, and he has a Japanese artist working with him. I didn't write that artist's name down, but you should be able to see it on the cover. This is a really great first volume. I don't always give first volumes 5 stars. In fact, I very rarely do. I always hedge my bets and drop it like a 4. I think one of the only ones I can think of, looking at my shelves, I gave Demon Slayer Volume 1 a 5 star, but that went on to become one of my favorite manga series of all time. Pokemon got a 5 star on the first volume, again, one of my favorite series of all time. So like, I'm very selective on what I give 5 stars, especially first volumes. This I gave a 5 star, for the reason that after I read this for days, I kept thinking about the setting and where we're at and seeing the art in my head, and I was like, oh my god, I can't shake this one. I cannot wait to read more. And this is about Lynx, who is a private detective in a world after the world sort of ends. Like, it's post-apocalyptic. We're in this kind of enclosed city space. She is a detective, and she has a partner who is a talking cat. And I think its name is like Soka or Sake. I can't remember exactly the name. And I didn't write it down, of course. And then this has like science fiction horror elements in that Lynx is augmented, and so is this talking cat companion, and they use those skills in their investigations. And at the beginning of the manga, they're called to the site of this kind of grisly murder, and they find something there. Lynx sees something she shouldn't see, and then over the course of it, we see these augmented like beasts being revealed, and there's conflict there, right? So they run across some that are living, and they attack them, and they're trying to figure out where they're coming from, and it's very fascinating. And there's a lot of very rich characters with a lot of duality. So there's somebody you would think, oh, that's a good guy, but you find out maybe there's something else going on. Is it bad? Is it good? You've got the captain, who also has something going on in the background, and one of her former partners, I loved him. I can't remember his name, but he's like kind of like a cowboy with an alcohol problem. He was super interesting. Overall, I just thought this was really well built, and the setting and everything was beautiful. So I actually did pre-order a copy of this. It comes out, I think, in August. It is a series I think I'm going to follow. So we'll see moving forward what it does. I will say there are some dealings with grief in this, because Lynx is dealing with the grief of the loss of her wife, and they adopted, or her wife had a baby boy, and now she has to raise that little boy on her own. And he's like, I think maybe 12 or 13, and somehow he's involved in this. So very interested to see where it's going to go. Now, I have the other 3 things in person. I am trying to move quickly. Can you tell? It's 90 some degrees outside, and I'm in my basement. And while it's normally cooler down here, it's not saving me. Okay, I'm still hot. I also came from the gym, so I was running hot. So let's get through them. First off, I finished Kwandon. This is a collection. This isn't all of them, but a collection of stories and studies from Lafcadio. I'm not sure how to say his name. Hearn, who was a Irish-Greek researcher. He also goes by Koizumi Yakumo, born Patrick Lafcadio Hearn. He was a Irish-Greek writer and researcher and translator who moved to Japan in the late 1800s into the early 1900s, and he collected stories and studies from Japan and really spread the culture when they at that time. He's like a historical figure, and he's very, as far as I know, well regarded in Japan and in a lot of places. And this is like a little independently published book of some of his stories and studies. I liked a lot of the ghost stories. The insect studies at the back were weird. Alright, they were weird. I don't know how I felt about those. Especially the one about ants and societal expectations with ants, which is maybe not. But this one did have a fantastic like kind of spooky story about a man falling asleep and his soul going on this adventure, and then what his friends discover at the end. I thought that was really fun. So it was okay. If you're interested in this sort of like historical ghost stories and stuff, I would actually recommend starting with the little penguin. I would recommend starting with the Penguin Classics book of Japanese ghost stories. I'll put a picture here. It's in my closet over there. I'm not going to fish it out. It collects a lot of his work, and it was really good. That was where I originally read his work, and this is just a little, like, addition to it. I also, speaking of Japan, reread Sword Art Online Volume 1, Aincrad by Riki Kawahara. Okay, I'm gonna open this with saying I like Sword Art Online. I know that might be a controversial take. He gets a lot of hate, this author does, because he wrote these books a long time ago, and they do use some tropes I don't love. Like, there's implied sexual violence against women, things like this was originally, I think, came out in 2009. Things like that, and he has actually gone on record as saying he used them because those tropes are popular, and that's what sold, and that's what was common in this media at the time, and he would never do them again. He doesn't want to do them again. He doesn't like them. So, like, people don't like it for that reason, and they think it's, I don't know. People don't like it, but I do. So just before you come at me, I like SAO. It's fun. This is a reread. This I gave a 3-star. The original time I read it was a 2-star. Watch me say I gave it a 3-star after I said I really like this series. I liked the anime version of this better. This came out, I believe, before the anime. It was a web serial. So this is the entire, first however many, it's been a while since I've watched SAO. I think this is, the entire first season of the anime here. So this is start to finish, the Aincrad saga. From where our main characters get stuck in SAO to when they get out of SAO. It's all in this little bitty book, so as you can assume, it does not go into the detail. We do not get a lot of the good character development. The relationship here is not well established. This is the barest of bones version of the story, so I prefer the anime. If you like the anime, I honestly think you could skip this. And one of my best friends who I was reading this with, it's also a reread for him. He listened to the audiobook, which is voiced by Bryce Papen, whatever, the voice actor for Kirito. He agrees. He's like, this is fine. We're on to the second one, which is a collection of short stories where we meet some of the characters from Aincrad. But honestly, this one, I think if you've watched this season of the show, you can totally skip this. I gave it a 3. I enjoyed it. And I like the little like extra artwork and stuff that we get throughout here. But yeah, it's not necessary. It doesn't really have that much extra in it. And the show, I will say I don't say this often. Show is better for that one. We'll see what I think moving forward. And finally, oh gosh, I'm hot. Let's finish this up. Rescued by the Alien Bull Rider by Ursa Dax. If you've not noticed, I want to let you in on a secret. I'm struggling with romance, right? I'm struggling with romantasy. It's so much of it's not working. I don't know. I think it's just me. So I was like, I'll go to a favorite. And you know what? Maybe it's just my choices, right? I loved this. Fantastic. Loved this. I know it's corny. It's lame. Love it. I love the series so much. This one is about Jolene. Jolene is pregnant and her father, he's not actually her biological father, but he did raise her, is not happy about it. The father of the baby is not in the picture. And so he basically, in a moment of rage, is like, if you keep the baby, get off my land. I'm not keeping you around. So out of options, she hires a pilot to take her to our alien planet where our boys are at. And the pilot just drops her off in the middle of a field. And so in comes Zorro, who saves her from a rampaging bull, and the two of them hit it off. He is the local doctor for our fugitives? No, our prisoners on this planet. And he's very, like, icy cold and kind of gruff. And she is very caring and sweet and sunshiny. And so we have that dynamic. She's also quite heavily pregnant throughout most of this. And it is their, like, coming to trust one another in their relationship. And we find out why he's on the prison planet. She tells him more about her story. And we get to see her deliver the baby and everything. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about this was that you will read books with pregnancy in them. And I get very frustrated when I read this. It'll talk about somebody laying on their back while pregnant and sleeping. And I'm like, you can't do that. You can't do that. If you didn't know, you can't lay on your back while you're pregnant and sleep. There is some blood vessels back there. You can actually like suffocate yourself doing that because of the weight of the belly. And there's a bunch of other things, right? Little rules to being pregnant that are intensely annoying, but intensely important. And Ursa Dax pays attention. She's clearly, if she's not been pregnant, she's very close to someone who has been pregnant. She knows what she's doing, and she keeps those facts. It helps because Zorro is a doctor. He's also very aware of it, so she's not, like, shoving it in awkwardly. He's a doctor. He's trying to take care of Jolene. And it's just so wholesome. Just so wholesome. This series is just the most wholesome thing, and it had snippets of my favorite character come in all the time, and there's a section where she's in a group chat with the other wives on the planet. I love them all. I was cackling over these like exchanges. It's so good. This series makes me so happy. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's not just the relationships, but the relationships are always just wholesome and loving, and I like that. But it's the interpersonal stuff with the other women, like all the women get along and the way they get along, and like, it's just funny. There's always a bit of a miscommunication, a word that is always mispronounced in a hilarious way. In this one, it's pajamas again, and he calls them her padildos or something like that. And it's very funny, okay? If you are reading this series, continue reading it. I actually think she has been picked up by a publisher because the first 3 volumes in this aren't going to be available with her hand-drawn. This is the author's artwork. She draws these covers. The first 3 volumes aren't going to be available with this artwork anymore. So I think a traditional publisher has picked them up. So keep an eye out for that if you're not much of like an indie edition reader, you don't have KU or something. I think they're getting picked up traditionally, which is fantastic. I sincerely hope so. But I do like her artwork. I like seeing, even though it's not what you would normally like expect, I love it. So I love this series. That's it. That's everything I read in the past 2 weeks. After endearing my birthday, let me know if y'all have read any of this. What are your thoughts? Are you going to pick any of it up or any of that good stuff? Thanks so much for watching, y'all. I'm going to go cool off. I'll talk to you later. Bye.